Hello. Today General Hospital will reveal exciting events in the next 2 weeks from September 22nd to October 3rd, 2025. First, during the week of September 22nd to 26th, the atmosphere in Port Charles will shift dramatically as Anna Devane faces one of the most unsettling secrets of her long career. The revelation that Nathan has somehow returned from the dead is a mystery far too explosive to expose, at least not until she has uncovered the truth behind it. Anna's instincts tell her that this is more than a miracle, that forces are at work in the shadows, and the implications could destabilize not only Nathan's family but the entire community. The memory of his tragic loss is still raw for those who loved him, and the sudden appearance of Nathan alive raises more questions than answers, pushing Anna into the role of both protector and strategist. With very little information to go on, Anna takes immediate action to contain the fallout. She carefully instructs Dante Falconeri, Elizabeth Baldwin, and Lucas Jones to remain silent and vigilant, urging them to treat Nathan's survival as a state secret. Her decision is not rooted in cruelty but in caution, as she understands the ripple effect such news could unleash. Dante, as a detective, grasps the weight of the situation. Elizabeth, with her history of protecting those she loves, feels torn between loyalty and truth, and Lucas, bound by his medical ethics, finds himself struggling with the moral consequences of concealing something so extraordinary. Together, they become Anna's circle of trust, though the cracks in their resolve begin to form almost immediately. Despite Anna's efforts, word begins to spread in whispers and fragments. Those closest to Nathan, particularly his family, cannot be kept in the dark forever. As episodes unfold, the tension grows heavier, with secrets threatening to spill at every turn. The burden of knowledge weighs differently on each of Anna's allies. Some see silence as a betrayal, while others justify it as protection. For Nathan himself, the ordeal of surviving death and returning to a world that mourned him is a trial in its own right, and his struggles ripple outward, reaching those who never expected to face him again. The delicate balance between secrecy and exposure teeters dangerously as curiosity grows within the circle of loved ones who sense something has shifted. The most visceral shock arrives when Nina discovers that Nathan is alive. Her grief for him has shaped so many of her choices, and the sudden possibility that everything she believed about his fate was false rattles her to her core. Questions erupt within her, not only about how Nathan could have survived but also about why the truth was hidden. Was this a cruel manipulation, a scientific experiment gone wrong, or something even darker? For Nina, the resurgence of hope is tangled with fear, suspicion, and an aching demand for answers. Her confrontation with the reality of Nathan's return threatens to unravel the fragile secrecy Anna has fought so hard to maintain, forcing every character to confront their own boundaries between truth and protection. Eventually, the web of silence begins to unravel in a way Anna cannot control. Liesel Albrecht inevitably learns the shocking news of her child's survival, and the impact cuts deeper than anyone can predict. For a woman who has already endured so much loss and regret, the return of another child resurrects emotions she has spent years trying to bury. The revelation forces her to grapple not only with joy but with guilt, fear, and the haunting question of what kind of power could bring her son back. To Liesel, the line between science and miracle blurs, and the possibility of hidden enemies manipulating life and death itself becomes terrifyingly real. As the truth spreads, Port Charles braces for the storm to come, where secrets, miracles, and hidden agendas collide in ways that no one is prepared to face. Second, Anna's determination to control the narrative surrounding Nathan's return extends beyond her inner circle of confidants, and she chooses to quietly inform Felicia Scorpio of the shocking development. Anna knows that Felicia's close ties to both Nathan and Maxie make her an essential voice in preparing for the emotional fallout. However, Felicia's first reaction is not relief but concern, particularly for James West, Nathan's young son. The possibility of Nathan being alive, but hidden from his child, raises questions about the psychological impact on James, who has already grown up with the shadow of his father's absence. Felicia's maternal instincts heighten her worry, as she fears the confusion and emotional turbulence this revelation could cause for a boy too young to comprehend the complexity of his father's miraculous return. At the same time, Britt finds herself in the grip of her own emotional turmoil. The accident involving Nathan has left her deeply unsettled, and although she is worried about his condition, her reaction is notably different from others. Unlike Nina or Liesel, Britt does not seem stunned to see him alive, and this subtle difference suggests a deeper awareness on her part. There is a quiet weight in her demeanor, as if she has been carrying the burden of knowledge that Nathan survived long before it became public. This unspoken awareness amplifies her guilt, since her silence may have contributed to the pain endured by Nathan's loved ones who mourned him unnecessarily. As the days progress, Britt's internal struggle becomes increasingly visible. Her instinct to protect Nathan collides with her guilt over keeping such a monumental secret, and she begins to question her own role in the chaos. If she was aware of his survival, her complicity in maintaining the deception casts her in a morally ambiguous light. Even more troubling is the possibility that Nathan himself might be the enigmatic figure who has been directing her actions from behind the scenes. If the man giving her orders is indeed Nathan, then her loyalty and secrecy become entangled with the very core of her personal history, raising the stakes for both her and everyone else connected to the truth. To complicate matters further, Nathan's condition upon awakening is far from straightforward. Rumors of memory loss surround his return, suggesting that even if he is alive, the man who emerges may not remember the life he once led. This adds another devastating layer of uncertainty for those around him, as loved ones prepare themselves for the possibility that he may not recognize them or the bonds they shared. For Anna, Felicia, Britt, and the others, Nathan's survival is not simply a miracle, it is a challenge to their loyalty, their honesty, and their ability to navigate a future where past relationships may be rewritten by the fragile state of his mind. The story moves beyond resurrection into the territory of identity, truth, and the profound consequences of secrets that can no longer remain hidden. Third, in one emotional thread of the unfolding story, Molly Lansing Davis finally finds the courage to acknowledge her feelings for Cody Bell. The admission does not come easily, as Molly has always been guarded with her heart and wary of where her choices might lead. Yet, when she confides in Alexis Davis, her mother offers both wisdom and caution. Alexis reminds her daughter that passion can be intoxicating but also dangerous, especially when it clouds judgment. Molly listens carefully, torn between the excitement of new love and the steady reminder of her family's history with heartbreak. Her confession marks a turning point, suggesting that Molly may be stepping into a relationship that could either strengthen her or unravel her in ways she cannot yet foresee. Meanwhile, Drew operates on a far darker plane. With Monica's death casting a heavy shadow over Port Charles, he sees an opportunity hidden within the grief. Drew's demands and schemes begin to surface, showing just how manipulative he has become. His callous willingness to exploit the Quartermain's pain reveals a man no longer driven by honor but by vengeance and control. As others mourn Monica's loss, Drew positions himself carefully, circling Michael Corinthos as his next target. The timing is cruel, yet perfectly calculated, as Drew knows that Michael's defenses are lowered by grief. The image of Drew turning tragedy into strategy paints him as both dangerous and detestable, a figure prepared to strike while others are too broken to resist. Adding fuel to the growing storm, Martin Gray re-emerges with a plot of his own. A phone call to a mysterious figure sets into motion a new wave of uncertainty at the Quartermain estate. The call itself is brief, but its impact reverberates through the family as whispers of a long-buried secret threaten to surface. The Quartermains, already fractured by loss, now face the prospect of an entirely new crisis they are ill-prepared to confront. Martin's involvement suggests knowledge that goes beyond the ordinary, hinting that his discovery of a hidden letter might carry implications far greater than anyone suspects. His role as the catalyst ensures that mourning will not be the only emotional challenge the Quartermains must endure. As Monica's funeral approaches, the grief-stricken household braces for farewells and memorials, unaware that an even greater shock lies ahead. Martin's revelation summons a figure long thought lost to history, Monica's estranged sister, a character set to be embodied by Erica Slezak. Her sudden arrival does not come as comfort but as chaos, bringing with her decades of unresolved questions and hidden resentments. Rather than easing the pain of loss, her presence threatens to fracture the family further, stirring old rivalries and dredging up truths that many would prefer remain buried. What should be a solemn gathering of remembrance is poised to unravel into confrontation, as Monica's death becomes the spark that reignites conflicts capable of changing the Quartermaine legacy forever. Fourth, in another tense turn of events, Trina Robinson steps into a role that forces her to confront uncomfortable truths when she brings Jordan Ashford into a session of questioning. The interrogation is not only about uncovering details linked to the larger investigation but also about observing Jordan's motives and personal involvement. For Trina, this moment carries heavy weight, as Jordan has always stood as both an authority figure and a complicated presence in her family's history. The tension between professional duty and private entanglement lingers in the air, as every question asked seems to expose not only evidence about the Drew case but also unresolved emotions that Jordan has yet to confront. As this unfolds, Curtis Ashford finds himself increasingly entangled in the situation. His past with Jordan resurfaces in ways that Trina cannot ignore, leaving her uneasy about what might come next. The very thought that Curtis and Jordan could rekindle a relationship unsettles her deeply, not only because of her loyalty to Portia but also because of her fear that old mistakes might repeat themselves. Curtis's sense of responsibility toward both women creates an emotional battlefield within him, one that Trina can clearly see but feels powerless to stop. Her protective instincts drive her to scrutinize every interaction between Curtis and Jordan, worried that grief, guilt, or unresolved longing might pull him away from the fragile stability of his current marriage. Trina's loyalty to Portia heightens her anxiety, and she cannot shake the image of her mother being pushed aside should Curtis allow himself to drift back toward Jordan. For Trina, the stakes are not just about love and marriage but about family loyalty and the need for emotional consistency during a time when everything else in their lives feels unstable. She believes that Portia deserves Curtis's full commitment, yet the unspoken tension between Curtis and Jordan makes her fear that the foundation of their family is built on shaky ground. This fear colors her perception of the investigation, where every look and hesitation feels like a sign of deeper betrayal waiting to emerge. The truth is that Curtis and Portia's marriage is far from secure, even if they present a united front. In the wake of Drew's case, they have perfected the art of pretending, maintaining the appearance of a stable partnership to avoid drawing unwanted suspicion from the authorities. Behind closed doors, however, the strain is visible, with silence and avoidance serving as fragile bandages over deeper wounds. Trina's efforts to preserve her family's image clash with the unspoken reality that the marriage may already be unraveling. The fear of police scrutiny only strengthens the facade, but for Trina, the act of keeping up appearances comes at a personal cost, as she struggles to reconcile her hopes for Curtis and Portia with the dangerous possibility that their bond is built on little more than performance and denial. Finally, the week of September 29 through October 3 promises to shake Port Charles in ways no one expects, beginning with the fallout surrounding Kai Taylor. The discovery of a baseball bat bearing his fingerprints threatens to unravel everything he has tried to keep hidden. Once that piece of evidence resurfaces, it will be impossible to ignore the fact that Kai was present at Drew's home during the night of the shooting. What may have once been brushed off as speculation could now harden into a damning case, setting the stage for Kai to be cast as the prime suspect in a crime that has already thrown the city into turmoil. For Trina Robinson, the implications are devastating. She has placed a level of trust in Kai that now seems fragile, if not misplaced. The connection between them, fragile and complicated as it already was, could disintegrate under the weight of this new discovery. Trina's loyalty is torn in half, one part urging her to protect Kai, another demanding she confront the possibility that he is more entangled in Drew's violent schemes than he has ever admitted. This tension is not only personal but also moral, as she must decide whether to follow her heart or align herself with justice. Meanwhile, Drew Cain has his own agenda, one steeped in manipulation and deflection. Rather than fearing the suspicion turning toward him, he seeks to redirect the danger onto Michael Corinthos. Drew has crafted a plan in which Michael bears the blame for the shooting, but with the shifting landscape of evidence, his scheme may not hold. A clever manipulator, Drew thrives on the grief and chaos surrounding Monica's death, but this particular move carries high risk. Should his plot unravel, Drew could find himself not only exposed but abandoned by those who once shielded him. Jason Morgan, however, refuses to let Michael become collateral damage in Drew's machinations. For Jason, loyalty is absolute, and Michael's well-being is non-negotiable. He has promised to protect Michael at all costs, and that vow becomes a guiding principle in the storm ahead. With his unshakable calm and tactical mind, Jason positions himself to intercept Drew's every move. Yet even he knows that the situation is volatile. One misstep could mean Michael's freedom, or life, hangs in the balance. Jason's sense of duty is as much about family as it is about justice, and that determination makes him a formidable adversary for Drew. Elsewhere, the Quartermain family braces for a different kind of upheaval. Monica's death continues to reverberate, but the introduction of her estranged sister, brought forth by Martin Gray, creates new divisions within the household. Martin, ever the strategist, recognizes an opportunity to manipulate the estate to his advantage. Through a careful reading of Monica's will and the exploitation of hidden clauses, he positions Monica's sister to claim authority over the mansion. This maneuver places him in direct conflict with Tracy Quartermain, who has long believed her place in the family hierarchy was secure. Tracy's reaction is predictably fiery. She has faced countless challengers over the years, but this affront cuts deep, attacking both her pride and her control over the Quartermain legacy. The notion that Monica's sister could wrest control from her is intolerable, and Tracy will not take it lying down. Her sharp tongue and ruthless instincts emerge with renewed force, promising explosive confrontations within the family. What began as a mourning period soon transforms into a battlefield where power, inheritance, and long-buried resentments collide. The possibility that Martin could succeed with nothing more than manipulation intensifies the drama. His ability to exploit loopholes and emotional vulnerabilities makes him a dangerous figure, particularly when paired with Monica's sister's sudden arrival. Together, they present a united front that could destabilize the family from within. The Quartermains, already weakened by loss, are ill-prepared for such a coordinated threat, and Tracy may find herself fighting battles on more than one front as her enemies multiply. Back in the world of secrets and shadows, Anna Devane refuses to rest until she uncovers the truth behind a series of shocking resurrections. The return of Britt and Nathan has unsettled her in ways few things could, but her instincts point to a familiar name. Caesar Faison. Though believed to be gone, Anna knows better than to dismiss his reach. The specter of his influence lingers, and she suspects he has played a role in orchestrating these improbable returns. For Anna, this is not only a mission of justice but a personal crusade against a man who has haunted her life for decades. Anna's investigation grows more urgent as she begins piecing together clues, each pointing to the possibility that Faison's network of power never truly dissolved. The thought that he could be pulling strings from beyond the grave, or through hidden allies still loyal to him, sends chills down her spine. It forces her to question not only the circumstances of Britt and Nathan's return but the larger web of danger looming over Port Charles. If Faison is indeed involved, then the city faces a threat unlike anything it has seen in years. For Britt, the suspicions surrounding her survival and reappearance weigh heavily. If her life is somehow tied to Faison's manipulations, then she risks becoming a pawn in a game she never wanted to play. The shadow of her father's legacy looms large, intertwining with her current predicament in ways she cannot escape. Her struggle is not just about survival but about reclaiming her identity apart from the twisted machinations that have defined her family history. Nathan, too, finds himself caught in this tangled web. With his miraculous return raising more questions than answers, the possibility that his existence has been orchestrated by Faison is deeply unsettling. For a man who has sought nothing more than a life of honesty and service, being tethered to such darkness is unbearable. His family's relief at his survival is tempered by fear of what it means, and Nathan himself is forced to grapple with whether he has truly returned as himself or as part of something more sinister. As all these threads intertwine, the week ahead promises revelations and betrayals that could alter the course of countless lives. The evidence against Kai, Drew's schemes against Michael, Jason's fierce loyalty, the Quartermain estate power struggle, and Anna's hunt for the truth about Faison all converge into a storm of conflict. Port Charles becomes a crucible where loyalties are tested, secrets are unearthed, and the fragile bonds between family, love, and justice are pushed to their breaking point. In this volatile atmosphere, no one can predict who will emerge victorious, or who will be consumed by the chaos.